This video called "The Gaming Market is Starting to Break" got 5 million views in 4 days. Let's talk about it.
This is a PlayStation 5. It came out in 2020 at $399. And now, even though it's 6 years old, it costs $599.
I don't even remember the PS5 ever costing $399, but to increase by 40% in 2 years is fucking psychotic. Is that really the same edition? That's nuts.
Nintendo's announced a price hike to their Switch 2. The Xbox has raised its price 3 times since 2025.
Jesus.
And the scariest part is not even the extra money, it's what's happening around it. Because,
dude, I guarantee you the next big console release will most likely break $1,000. And I bet you they'll release an enhanced version of it that's $1,200. This is how things are going. It's horrifying, man. You really should just invest in a PC now.
At the same time, PlayStation announced it's going to stop shipping physical game discs entirely. Xbox has axed 5 of its big game production studios and fired thousands of people in what's being called one of the biggest single layoffs in gaming history.
I think that's honestly fine to like release devs if they're not doing shit. I don't really care about big industry layoffs. You know, cut the fat. That's what happened to Twitter, and now it's infinitely better.
While Nvidia has started capping how many hours a month you're allowed to play when using their services. The craziest part? Everything I've just mentioned is linked. This is actually all part of a single chain reaction that's already started in the gaming industry. And I don't see where it stops.
Jesus.
To understand what I mean, if we were to take apart this PlayStation 5, inside, you would find 16 gigabytes of RAM. Or memory, which it needs.
Okay, that's nothing. 16 gigs is fucking nothing. I'm honestly shocked by how low that is.
To be able to run games. A single AI chip from Nvidia, the Blackwell Ultra, requires 288 gigabytes of memory. 18 PlayStation 5's worth of RAM. Now it is a fancier type of memory than what's in your PlayStation, but it's made on the same production lines by the same companies. So every gigabyte that goes into this is a gigabyte that can't be made for a PS5. And the problem is when AI companies buy chips for their data centers, they don't just buy one. Chips are sold in racks, each containing 72 of those AI chips. So one rack equals 1,300 PlayStation 5s.
Jesus!
Oh dear. And they don't just buy one rack. Racks are purchased in clusters. Last year, Microsoft switched on their first big cluster to help power the growing needs from OpenAI's ChatGPT models. That cluster was 64 racks in one go.
Jesus.
83,000 PlayStation 5s. And here's where it gets
Holy
truly terrifying.
Shit.
Even that was barely a test run compared to the scale on which these new servers are being set up now. Just a year later, OpenAI is currently building out the Stargate campus that will reportedly hold 100 times the number of racks as that first purchase. 8.3 million PlayStation 5's worth of memory in one company's one site. That's almost enough PlayStations for every single household in the entire continent of Australia. And so when you factor in that there are also other AI companies, Meta and their even larger Prometheus site, xAI's Colossus, supposedly the world's most powerful data center, Amazon, Google, and every other big tech company who's galloping headfirst into the AI wars, we have reached a point where AI data centers are now estimated to be swallowing up 70% of the world's memory output. 70% is going into building services that we'd barely heard of 5 years ago. And that has left everything else on the planet that needs memory, every phone, every PC, every car, every console, having to now fight over the small and rapidly shrinking pool that's left.
Oh, dude, I had to wait 3 months to get my fucking Tesla because getting any amount of like data chips is like fucking impossible. Yeah, no, there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons. I am very pro AI just for the reason of in mineral science, AI was applied and we jumped forward 250 years of research, pretty much overnight, which is insane. As well as they're using AI to help treat things like pancreatic cancer. Because the way that CAT scans go is they take a screenshot of your body. And the reason why pancreatic cancer surgery is so difficult is because your organs are constantly shifting. So this screenshot can show you where the cancer is, and then you have to laser into it, hope the organs don't shift. That way you get rid of the cancer and the person can heal. But if they shifted, you could have just caused internal bleeding and they're just going to die. But with AI, they're able to make your whole body like a hologram and see in real time exactly where the cancer can be moving, thusly making pancreatic cancer a lot less lethal. And it is the most deadliest cancer. So while things like having supply and demand issues with like Teslas or iPhones and PS5 is a negative, I do believe that AI, if we win the race, could be providing a massive generational leap in all fields. And I also would really like the United States to win the war on AI. That way the data is drawn from here rather than China win and all the data be drawn from there and them cause more propaganda wars like they did for BLM. So there's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons. Whether you hate it or love it, I don't really care. I just like coming to an agreement on where things are at and getting to a deeper place of understanding. So if you have different opinions on AI, I would love to hear them in the comments. Now, China's leading. It's not even close, sadly. That's the worry, right?
Why don't they just make some more memory, you ask? Well, I don't think they want to. See, the entire world's memory supply comes from largely 5 companies. And if we're talking about the specific type of memory used to make RAM, that's only 3 companies: Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron. And these 3 companies could choose to invest tens of billions into new factories to be able to produce more, but that would take 3 to 4 years to build. And if there were to be an AI crash in that time, they'd have spent it all for nothing. And so why take the risk when they're currently raking in cash? These companies are currently lapping up 70 to 80% margins on their memory compared to the historical norm of 30 to 40% because of one simple fact: that their new favorite customers, big tech companies, will pay absolutely anything for it. We are in a very unique situation where, basically for the first time since the dot-com bubble, some of the richest companies on the planet, like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, are not even behaving like businesses. They're spending more money than they're even making from AI because the fear of losing the AI race has actually become bigger than the fear of debt. This is a very precarious situation for the world to be in, and it puts these memory companies in such a powerful position that it feels like they've just decided to forget entirely about the consumer, with Micron actually quietly shutting down its consumer memory brand, Crucial, to focus on these data center business customers. Now, new factories are coming. Elon Musk and Intel are building a giant AI complex in Texas, for example, that will also make some memory, but none of it produces anything meaningful before 2028. Plus, almost all of that new capacity is being built for, you guessed it, the AI customers anyway, because, well, you already know now. So how much more expensive has this memory really become? Well, to give you an idea, within just 3 months at the end of last year, the price of a single 16GB stick of RAM rose almost 300%, according to...
What? Bro! I got 128 gigabytes of RAM in my PC, dog. Dude, y'all are getting hosed. Y'all are getting hosed. Since when does 16 gigabytes of RAM cost $350? Hell no, I'm using this PC until I die. I ain't ever replacing this shit.
Tom's Hardware's RAM price index. Asha Sharma, CEO of Xbox, has said the price we paid for console storage components was over 2 times as high as we paid last.
Did you hear about her laying off 3,600 employees and then only looking to hire new Indians to run her company? It's looking pretty grim!
These costs have since doubled again, and as we plan for the 2027 holiday season, we expect another significant increase, taking us over 5 times the prices we paid only 2 years earlier. 5 times! Memory is getting so expensive that, according to a report from TrendForce, on some high-end graphics cards, the memory that's on the card, known as the VRAM, now accounts for up to 80% of the total cost.
Oh my God.
The actual clever bit of the graphics card that you should be paying for, the GPU chip that companies like Nvidia spend billions designing, is on some cards now costing less than the basic memory that's soldered around it.
That's crazy.
Here's where it starts to get problematic. The implications from these higher prices are bigger than they first seem, because when the prices go up,
I don't see this as anything other than a bubble. And I would just tell people just to fucking wait this shit out. I think it's going to pop. And I think it's going to be disastrous for anybody who actually wastes their money on this shit. I would say now is not the time to buy, boys. We must wait. Hold. Hold. Do not succumb to these prices. Surely it will pop.
Of course, fewer consumers buy. Like if we take PlayStation, in May 2026, just after the price hike, Americans bought fewer PlayStations than they had in any May since the year 2000. That's before the PlayStation 2 had even come to America. Xbox had the worst May in its entire history, and it's much bigger than just PlayStation and Xbox. Any company that makes any type of computing hardware. I was speaking to the director of one of the big Windows handheld companies, the companies that make...
Pause 1 second. There were ZeniMax employees protesting about losing their jobs but got caught on film as one of them having a sickle and hammer tattoo. Yeah, I saw that shit too.
This kind of stuff. And his words were, man, Windows gaming handhelds and computers are dead now. No company will launch new products if the memory prices continue to rise.
Yep.
It is crazy now.
Yep.
How bad do things need to be for a director of a currently operating business to call their own business dead? Even like Valve, typically the strongman of value gaming, just launched their Steam Machine, a box that's barely as powerful as the 6-year-old PS5, for $1,049.
Oh
it's
my
not going to be the
God.
next Steam Deck, put it that way. So all of a
Oh, bro, I'm gonna be real. The Steam Deck sucked ass. I have one. Haven't touched it. It's garbage. Yep, fuck that. Terrible.
sudden, the home console, the bastion that for 30 years has been the affordable way to game, the thing your mum could buy you at Christmas, is quietly drifting away from a staple to a luxury purchase.
And that's why gaming has become more fag, because gaming's better when there's poor people in it. There is, because they're the most unhinged, they're the funniest, right? Because like they had to find creative ways to enjoy life, so they're just funny as fuck. And because gaming has become like a bougie hobby at this point, now all the cool motherfuckers just can't do it. It's lame.
Now, gamers aren't going to stop playing games, right? But are they going to have to start changing where they play them?
Yes.
Very possibly. And that's where things get concerning. If the PlayStation 6, for example, launches at 2.5 times the base...
Oh my God. Oh my God, bro. Hey, well, I'll tell you guys what. If the PS6 is $1,000, I'll buy it, and then you guys can just watch me play it. It'll be like we're hanging out at my house. You know what I mean? And then, you know what I'll do? I'll buy 10 of these fucking PS6s for like my chat members and my mods. And then we can all just play together and we can all just watch. How about that? Hopefully we're all gonna get through this shit, guys. We're all gonna fucking make it.
Price that the PS5 did, $1,000, which sounds like an outrageous prediction, but is actually what the current latest rumors are suggesting, then it's not a crazy thought that far fewer people are going to buy a PS6. And you might think, okay, I mean, that's fine, I'll just wait, I'll buy it pre-owned. But it's not about just us, the individual. See, the entire console gaming industry relies on momentum. These companies have to sell tens of millions of these consoles right out the gate to prove to developers that their new platform is worth developing.
True.
It means that a new console is basically either all or nothing. You either sell tons of boxes, have developers flooding to your platform to make games for those users, and then even more users buy.
Let's be real, Ubisoft isn't making shit. Ubisoft and EA, Jesus Christ, bro. Like, you just pulled like the bottom of the barrel shit, bro. Good lord. That's rough.
Your console because of those games.
Get some fucking Team Cherry and From Software in there, you know what I'm saying?
The Nintendo Wii is a great example of forward momentum like this, with the console eventually hitting 101 million sales.
There you go.
You bottle it at the start. You don't manage to get that initial launch trajectory. Game devs don't want to
Wii U is goated, by the way. Why are we shitting on the Wii U? Hello? The Wii U was incredible.
take the risk, and then pretty much nothing you do is going to save your platform. Like the Wii U, which came just after the Wii, and in its entire lifetime has only hit 13.5 million.
I can't believe that. The Wii U I thought was fucking incredible. That's crazy. I can't believe it sold that poorly.
So my question is, how on earth are Sony or Xbox going to build any kind of momentum with their next-gen consoles if they're priced at $1,000? If the PS6 launches and only 5 to 8 million people buy one in the first year, whereas 80 million people are currently on PS5s, which platform are developers going to prioritize their games for? Obviously the old one. Sure, they'll make a version that runs at a higher resolution for the latest hardware, but any sensible developer who's gonna have to spend maybe half a decade pouring everything into their next game is going to do everything to make sure that it's PS5 users who are getting an optimal experience.
True.
Because that's where the money is. So now, there is even less reason to upgrade. And the spiral descends. Because here's the thing, Sony more so than Xbox is a little bit protected in the short term. If no one buys a PS6, then they do still have this giant PS5 install base to sell subscriptions and games to. But the install base of a console is like a melting ice cube. Consoles break, they get sold, they get retired, and players do slowly lose attachment and stop buying games for it across its lifetime. They drift over to PC, phones, or just out of the hobby. Normally,
I refuse to play a game on my phone, bro. I'm just not doing that, okay? It's a miserable experience. I'm tired of pretending that it's not a miserable experience. I fucking hate phone games. I will play phone games on my computer, but I am not playing with a fucking touchscreen. I am a 32-year-old man. I refuse.
Thing that replenishes this pool of active users is the next-gen console. So if the PS6 ends up too expensive to do that, then the paying population for companies like Sony is going to shrink every year, with nothing refilling it. So, if these companies want to continue to maintain their profits, they have to claw back money from other places. And as far as I can see, there are 4 ways that they could do this. The first lever they can pull is subscriptions. I think these companies will raise the...
I'm so tired of everything being a subscription. If I get told I can buy a subscription to use a PS6 for 3 months for $49.99 a month, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
Price of subscriptions, and will make it feel more essential to pay a monthly fee to get the experience. I mean, Xbox tried an enormous price increase at the end of last year to its Game Pass, then realized they went a little too far and pulled it back a bit. But it's still more expensive than it was. And Nintendo's already started jacking up online costs 2 months ago in Japan, so who knows how long till that becomes global. Lever 2 is game prices. And we've already been seeing a lot of this before the memory crisis. Like $60 was the default price for a game for 15 years. Then it jumped to $70 in 2020.
Was Demon Souls a remake of a game from the fucking 2010s, fucking $70? $70 for a remake? That was crazy.
Need to now start another jump to $80, just 5 years after. If they...
$80 for Mario Kart World was a joke, by the way. That game did not have nearly enough content. Was it fun? Yes. It was $50 fun, not $80 fun. Speaking of which, I'm beginning to play Splatoon Raiders off stream. I heard it was quite good.
Let's carry on like this. We might be seeing the $100 video game sooner than we'd like to.
GTA 6, baby. I'll pay $200 for it. Come on.
Third lever is control. This is what we've just seen happen with Sony, announcing that from 2028 onwards, they're going to seize distribution of physical discs. And this
which is good for the rich, bad for the poor.
This might seem completely unrelated to what's happening here, but the key anymore when games...
And that's the problem. When I was broke as shit, buy the game, beat it, sell it a week later for $5 less than what I bought it for. Poors are fucked, bro. Legit, poors are fucked.
So digital, they are tied to your account, effectively shutting down the entire secondhand market. It means that if your friend wants to play the same game you're playing, you can't just lend it to them.
Insane.
They can't just pop over to eBay and grab it for $20. They have to make an entirely new, maybe $80, maybe $100 purchase direct to Sony.
And obviously that's by design. I remember trading N64 games and GameCube games with my boys. I trade Cruis'n USA for Diddy Kong Racing. Scam the fuck out of that dude. Easy profit.
That doesn't already sound like a problem.
That's
and crazier
insane.
still that this is how Sony prices games while these other options still exist.
Yep.
What are they going to do when there's no other option? To clarify, when Sony acts as the discs, you will still be able to buy their games at other retailers, but you'll be buying a download code that still has to go through the PlayStation Store to get you the games.
I don't know what I expected.
So Sony will control the price, more so than they ever have been able to with discs. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Sony axed the disc because of AI, but I do think that Sony axing discs is a sign of a squeezed, desperate industry, and that squeeze is largely brought on by this AI boom. And even if these discs don't officially die till 2028, it feels like the beginning of the end is now, with GTA 6, maybe the biggest game launch.
GTA 6 will be the beginning of the end. It better be good, bro. It looks crazy. I'm not gonna lie. The strippers' booties mechanics are nuts.
In history, but the only physical thing about
every little kid is about to get a pornography addiction after that game.
The physical edition is a download code, at which point they might as well just be digital only.
Yep.
And Nintendo too, because their game cartridges rely on the same type of flash memory that's rocketing up in price, publishers on Switch 2 are increasingly shipping dataless game key cards, like Elden Ring.
What? The fuck is the point of that? I mean, that's ridiculous.
It's a cartridge in a box that doesn't actually have the game on the cartridge, just a key that downloads it. So when you put it in, you're the one who has to download it, and you're the one using up your internal storage instead of theirs. And the fourth lever that these companies can use to recoup their costs, the darkest one I'm getting to. But for the time being, can you see how it's already getting more expensive and just worse to be a console gamer? This is even leading to some insiders claiming that while Sony originally planned to launch PS6 in 2027, that it has now been delayed.
All the good devs have been fired. The ones that are left don't have enough money to survive. And now gamers are being punished to want to play their games. We are literally, Asmon's right, Gamers are the most oppressed class in the world. Worse than blacks, worse than gays, that's the truth. Worse than Jews.
Delayed to 2028 or later. And whichever way this turns out, there is absolutely no doubt that we're about to see slower progress in games becoming next generation. And there's even a supposedly claiming that the next gen consoles will ship with less RAM than originally planned and a lower speed bandwidth, as if there weren't already enough reasons to be concerned about them. I was originally wondering, one upside of AI is that maybe you don't need that new hardware. We've already seen with Nvidia's DLSS 5 tech that AI has the ability to massively upscale the resolution of games, make them run smoother, and even improve the lighting in real time. But
I mean, it kind of just makes everybody look super sexy. So I don't really think it really enhances the graphics. It just puts like an Instagram filter on them.
alas, most of this tech can only run on new compatible AI hardware, which the current gen consoles are just not.
Uh-oh.
Unfortunately, it's not just gaming companies and gaming consumers who are losing out in this spiral, because the final lever that brands like Sony and Xbox are going to have to pull is cost cutting. Like I mentioned, Xbox has actually divested 5 big game studios, including the people behind massively popular titles like Hellblade and Psychonauts.
Massively popular, and using the word Hellblade is insane. That game sucked ass.
And in the process also axed around 3,200 jobs. This is one company's one set of layoffs. And still, it means 3,200 potentially talented level designers, graphic designers, voiceover artists who...
You said potentially. They could also just be shit. I wouldn't be surprised if a game company has some fat that they needed to cut. So I don't particularly feel bad for these people, because if they are talented, they can just find employment elsewhere, especially given their resume.
were previously working on the next generation of games who, there's a very good chance, are just not anymore. Keyword, talent.
Psychonauts, good as shit. I agree. First Hellblade was good. I also heard that. But the rest of them after were terrible is what I heard.
Reportedly, the layoffs even include around half of the team at id Software, the studio that basically invented the first-person shooter with Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein, and more. Now, imagine if on top of everything else, the higher prices, the dirtier tactics, the reduced focus on next generation, that we also start getting fewer big-budget games too, because there's fewer people to make them. From an industry trade analysis in May 2026, a higher hardware entry price changed.
This is why I praise Toby Fox every day, because I really don't give a shit about needing good graphics. I don't. Deltarune, Undertale are perfect examples of why a good story with good gameplay is all you really need. Graphics come last. Gameplay and story are first, so it is what it is. And Toby Fox, man, that's a very minimal studio. Same thing with Team Cherry, man. Team Cherry, small studio, beautiful game, beautiful. These big devs, they try to fucking distract you with the shiny colors and the bisexual lighting and the realistic photorealism. You don't need it, bro, because all you're doing is hiding trash. If the gameplay and story is good enough, you don't need all this fucking razzmatazz to distract the audience. Just let the game be the game. Us gamers really don't care about graphics these days. We really don't. And we haven't for a while. That's the God's honest truth.
Changes the shape of the next install base cohort and feeds directly into the lifetime value assumptions that justify a green light decision at the publisher level.
Personalized style over photorealism every time.
Or in English, publishers decide whether to make a game based on projections of how many consoles are going to exist in the future to sell it to. This memory price surge has reduced the future projected install base, which means that games are being killed at the pitch stage right now because of RAM prices. And we're not even ever going to know which ones. And I think there's a very good chance that this also affects the innovation in games, because
there's no innovation, because that requires a risk, and investors don't want to invest into risk. They want to invest into things they already know that work. And that's why game innovation is at an all-time low. That's why remake culture is at an all-time high. And don't get me wrong, I love a good remaster, but a remake with no changes whatsoever besides updated graphics, it's cringe, bro. It is. And I'll still play it because I'm a fucking slot piggy, but the game has to be like a fucking huge gem of my childhood.
new things is a risk. When projected install bases shrink, it means that the threshold for something to become greenlit is going to become tighter. So the games that make it through that are increasingly going to be those easy, safe wins. Games like the new Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, a beloved 13-year-old game that's been rebuilt cheaply, targeted at hardware people already own, and absolutely filled to the brim with in-game monetization. Or for another example, Jason...
I'm excited for Ocarina of Time because it's not It's not a remaster, it's a remake. Like, they're going to change the gameplay from what I've heard, right? I'm just hoping they keep the story the same. I think upgrading Ocarina of Time to have more Souls-like combat would be a huge W. And I think if they do that, it might once again be one of the greatest games of all time.
Schreier recently reported that Obsidian, one of the other top game devs, they're ending work on a new unannounced RPG game to work on the next iteration of Fallout, the safe, known entity. These are dark times for video games. I mean, EA is even going all out right now on trying to create a new standard for how in-game advertising works. And they're not scaling them back. They're actually building a platform that would let advertisers in almost real time buy ads that will then appear onto billboards and objects that you will see while trying to play your games. Now, you would hope that there will be limitations on what can be advertised where, but I am horrified by the idea of dropping the big bucks on Ghosts of Yotei, being knee-deep in feudal Japan.
I'm not gonna play that DEI garbage, bro. Absolutely not.
And Katana Drawn, cherry blossoms falling, only to turn around and see a giant sign for car insurance discounts. And even if it doesn't go that far...
Oh, bro, advertisers are fucking everywhere, bro. Try to watch the WWE in 2026. They literally put Slim Jim advertisements on the fucking wrestling mat. It's pathetic. Everything is so money hungry. It's disgusting.
Think about it.
Like, I get every now and then, but it's like me doing two Rumble Wallet ad reads a stream versus the whole stream. Every 5 minutes, I do a Rumble Wallet ad read. It's like at a certain point, it's taking away from the overall content. And we've just gone too far with our pursuit of making a bag.
As soon as there becomes a monetary incentive to show gamers adverts, how could that not start to change how game worlds are designed? And even what types of games are made and how permanently online they need to be connected?
Yep. Here we go.
Now, a lot of the issues that we've talked about, game publishers getting greedier, the layoffs, has been happening already in the background for years. I mean, especially after COVID, when companies realized that they couldn't sustain the revenues that they had when all we were allowed to do was basically play video games. So they've been finding all sorts of ways to recoup those costs, both in-game and also by culling employees.
You're fired!
Point being, the fire was already lit, but the AI crisis stacked on top of this already strained industry is like the fire brigade showing up with cans of petrol. The problems are now accelerating so fast that, yes, there's still a possibility that the memory crisis suddenly starts to ease. I hope it does. It is possible that this AI bubble, that some people are calling it, does just pop entirely. But the worrying thing is, if they don't, how much more can console and game prices keep going up and demand keep going down before this entire business model for a games console as we know it becomes unviable?
Yep.
I don't think very long at all. If the AI industry carries...
I don't think so either. I think it's going to crash very, very, very soon because it's physically impossible for it to not to. Consumers cannot keep up with this. They can't. It's too hard to survive right now, bro. And like with games like Silksong absolutely crushing it, being sold for $20, I think that's going to send a big shockwave to the gaming industry.
On doing what it's doing, then there's one of three things I could see happening. And I don't think any of them are good news. One, cloud gaming, like Nvidia's GeForce Now, becoming a more popular alternative, so that Nvidia can rent us the graphics card we can no longer afford to buy and own, and we can stream games from their servers for a monthly fee forever.
Yikes.
And this isn't conjecture. The service is growing, racking up 30 million registered users, with industry analysis actually citing the hardware scarcity from this memory crisis as one of the big three drivers of that. 30 million is...
Their plan is to get you on as many subscription services as possible until you die. And that is the God's honest truth. They want you to rot underneath your Netflix and your Hulu and your Disney Plus, your YouTube Premium, your fucking Nvidia GeForce, your fucking World of Warcraft. They are trying to rot you into spending money that you don't have, to be in debt for the rest of your life, and for you to never see it coming. Oh, $19.99. Oh, that's great. Yearly subscription, click. 1 year later, forgot about it. There's $240. Fucking insane.
a huge amount of people.
The problem is the normies are eating it up. I know, bro. COVID made us all retarded. I believe the average IQ of the world dropped by 13 points since COVID. It is rough.
Not an entirely fair comparison, but that's basically the same number of people that have bought the current gen Xbox Series S and X combined. And what makes this so depressing that it's almost funny, Nvidia just this January has enforced a 100-hour-a-month playtime cap on paid GeForce Now accounts. Obviously, that's not going to affect every user, but it paints quite the picture of what the world could look like when you don't own your hardware. The second thing I could see happening is older classic games becoming not just something that you revisit because you fancy a bit of nostalgia,
It's because you fucking have to.
but something that you settle for because it's a whole lot more affordable. We've already started to see this on PC, where the majority of all PC playtime now goes towards games that are over 6 years old. And a recent survey from Tom's Hard...
I think that data's very skewed, though, you know what I mean? Because there's just more games than there are ones that are being made now. I don't really think that means anything. But also, just older games are just, like, better than the current shit slap that comes in. Like, every now and then you get a gem, like, once every, like, 4 months or so. But the majority of the games now, the majority of the good games are just in the past now. That's just the truth. Nobody wants to innovate. People just want to remake. That's it.
Hardware, a publication that's
Own
only
nothing
really
and be
going to be
happy.
read by
True.
PC enthusiasts, finding that 60%
True.
of their readers won't be upgrading any hardware for at least the next 2 years.
Can I drop you guys some knowledge? Do you know, you guys are, this is going to be like my worst take. And you guys are going to hate that I'm saying this. Do you know what's actually better than gaming in 2026? I'm about to piss off so many people. Reading books. I stand on that. Once you start reading books, you will understand what gaming and scrollable content is doing to your mind. All I try to do now is read books and watch long form content. Like, if you're watching a stream, you're pretty active, you know? The dopamine levels will drop. The dopamine levels will rise. You'll ebb and flow, just like books. Drop low, drop low. Shorts, high, 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 nothing. High, 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 nothing. Close the phone. Oh, man, I really wish I could feel that good again. High, 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 high. And that's why, like, I believe the reason why I've been able to change and grow as a person is because now I try to exclusively consume, like, long-form attention content. And that's why everybody else is becoming retarded, and I'm getting smarter and smarter every fucking day. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. You guys should really try reading some books. It's very good. I'll give you guys some book recommendations later, too.
And then the third situation is mobile gaming becoming more of a default. See, all tech is getting more expensive, right? PCs, consoles, and that includes smartphones too. But people are still going to buy a smartphone because it's considered much more of an essential than a games console. So if the user base of the smartphone remains steady, and if anything continues to rise, while the pool of people who can keep up with the increasing costs and difficulties of being a console or PC gamer falls, of course I could see a situation where developers are much more incentivized to put their eggs into the mobile basket.
Don't buy an iPhone, by the way. They're fucking useless. Just buy Android, boys. It's way better.
Am I happy about that? Hell no. Console games are...
I'm saying this as an iPhone user, by the way. I bought this shit because my girlfriend at the time, now wife, really wanted to FaceTime me and to play Game Pigeon games on text. And I'm going to be real. I did it because I just wanted to connect more with my fucking girlfriend. It's a garbage phone. It is legit useless. It sucks. It is worse to Android in every single way. And I highly recommend no one buying an iPhone. For iPhone users, never upgrade to the new iPhone because it's the exact same. And also, they are intentionally making previous iPhones worse, so you must upgrade. Break the cycle, swap to an Android. It's infinitely better.
Held to a certain standard.
It's the truth.
That mobile games just aren't. And it's not like you can just make console games and then put them on mobile. This has been tested time and time again. Resident Evil 4, Death Stranding, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and commercially, they largely flopped. They cost near console money and barely anyone bought them.
Yep.
Because mobile gaming rewards free-to-play, battle passes, and in-game currencies, and adverts.
Yep.
So the future that I'm worried about is not your favorite console game but smaller on a phone. It's this entire industry where the only economically sane thing for a game dev to do is to build endlessly monetized, free-to-play machines. Games that are not designed around spectacle and hardware-pushing experiences because no one has the hardware, and instead are all about just reusing safe IPs that have worked before, remaster after remaster, made by fewer and fewer people. And it's about what we lose on the way, from the games that you can no longer borrow from your friends, to the graphics cards that you might have to borrow from your not, friends. The industry will find a way to claw its money back from the one group of people who can't pass that cost on. That's us.
Yep. Fucking true. And it's pathetic, and it gets worse every day. Life sucks, and then you die. But I have hope. Never black pill, boys. We're all gonna make it. The solution, don't upgrade your phone. Don't upgrade your computer. The bubble will pop. We must hold. We all gonna make it.